All right, so you want to save your marriage, huh? Well, you brought some pretty interesting material here, and what's really striking me is just how much of it really comes down to this one idea, like this really powerful idea of decision making.
Yeah, you've definitely hit on something super important here. It's not just about, wanting things to be better. It's really about like a fundamental shift in your mindset. And a lot of what you've brought today really points to the work of this guy, Liam Naden.
Okay, Liam Naden, yeah, I've seen that name everywhere in these notes here.
Yeah.
There's even this quote here from one of his podcasts, and it really jumped out at me. He says, "The only thing you need to save your marriage is to decide you're going to save your marriage." Wow, it's a pretty bold statement.
It is. It's bold, and it's right at the core of his whole approach. Liam Naden is a relationship coach, and he's really kind of shaking things up in this field with this idea. He says there's a huge difference between wanting to save your marriage and deciding to.
Okay, so what's the difference then between wanting and deciding? I mean, they seem pretty similar to me at first.
Hmm. Think about it this way. Imagine you want to buy a house,
Right.
right? You spend all this time browsing listings, you're daydreaming about that perfect place. But until you make that decision, until you say to yourself, I'm going to buy a house no matter what, you're still kind of hesitant, right? There's uncertainty, there's fear. It's that decision that really changes everything. You go from just kind of wishing to actively searching, making plans, and overcoming any obstacle that gets in your way.
That's a great analogy. I can see how that would apply to a relationship too.
Hmm.
Wanting things to be better can kind of keep you stuck in this cycle of hoping and then being disappointed. But deciding to save your marriage sounds like a totally different thing. It's like you're actually taking control of this situation.
Exactly. And Liam Naden takes a step further, too. He says that our beliefs actually shape our behaviors and ultimately the outcomes. Like, if you believe that your marriage is doomed, you're going to act in ways that reflect that belief. But if you decide to save it, your actions become more positive, more proactive, and more solution-oriented.
So instead of focusing on everything that's wrong, you start looking for ways to make things right. I'm starting to see how this could be a real game changer. But how do you actually make that shift? How do you go from wanting to deciding, what if you're full of doubt and insecurities and all those what ifs?
That's where Liam Naden's work is so helpful. He's actually developed this really clear and practical four-step process to help people bridge that gap. He knows that making a big decision like this can be scary, so he breaks it down into these really manageable steps.
Okay, I'm ready to hear about these steps. What's the first one?
The first step is all about honest self-reflection. It's about taking a deep look inward and asking yourself some tough questions. Like, are you really committed to saving this marriage? What are your fears? What are your concerns? What are your deepest desires for this relationship? It's about getting really clear on what you want and if saving the marriage actually aligns with your core values.
So it's not about just making a rash decision out of fear or obligation. It's about really taking the time to understand yourself before taking any action.
Exactly. And once you've done that inner work, then you can move on to step two, which is banishing excuses. This is where you start blaming outside factors or your partner for all the problems in the relationship. It's about taking responsibility for your part and shifting to a solution-oriented mindset.
No more buts.
Yeah.
No more pointing fingers.
No.
About owning your role in the situation and focusing on what you can control.
That's it. It's about moving from feeling like a victim to feeling empowered. And that shift is so important for the next step, which is taking action. Now, this doesn't have to be some big grand gesture. It's about taking small, consistent steps that show you're committed to saving the marriage.
It's about putting your decision into action, showing your partner that you're serious about making things work. What kind of actions are we talking about here?
It could be anything from expressing your appreciation to your partner to initiating conversations, actively listening to them, suggesting activities that you used to enjoy together. The key is to choose actions that feel authentic to you and that are relevant to your relationship's specific needs.
It's like you're learning a new language of love through your actions, showing your partner, not just telling them that you're all in. But I imagine it can be hard to stay motivated, especially if you're not seeing results right away. And that brings us to Liam Naden's final step, right?
Yes, the fourth step is persistence. And this is where Liam Naden's approach really stands out. He doesn't just acknowledge that there will probably be setbacks, he actually embraces them. He sees mistakes as valuable feedback, and he encourages couples to keep going even when things get tough.
It's about having that growth mindset, right? Viewing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Instead of getting discouraged by setbacks, you analyze what went wrong, adjust your approach, and keep moving forward.
Exactly. And that's what he really focuses on in his marriage courses and coaching programs. He doesn't just talk about these ideas, he actually gives people practical tools and strategies to handle the ups and downs of saving a marriage.
So it's not just about making the decision. It's about having a plan, a roadmap to help you through the process. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm curious to hear more about these tools and strategies. What are some of the specific things that Liam Naden teaches couples?
Well, one of the main things he focuses on is communication. But it's not just about talking more, it's about talking differently. Liam Naden teaches couples how to communicate with empathy, understanding, and focusing on finding solutions instead of blaming each other.
So you're changing those communication patterns that probably caused some of the problems in the first place. You're learning how to really listen to each other and express yourself in a way that brings you closer instead of pushing you apart.
Exactly. And that's just one example. Liam Naden's approach is really comprehensive. It covers everything from rebuilding emotional intimacy to dealing with past hurts and resentments.
Yeah, this is a lot to take in. I'm starting to see why Liam Naden is considered a leading expert in this field.
Yeah.
He seems to have a very holistic and practical approach to saving marriages. I'm definitely curious to learn more.
And Liam Naden's website, liamnaden.com, is a fantastic resource. He has detailed information about his marriage courses and coaching programs, which are designed to guide couples through this whole process.
That's great to know. I have a feeling we'll be talking more about his work as we continue this deep dive. But for now, I think we've got a good foundation for understanding this really powerful concept of deciding to save a marriage.
You do. And remember that decision is really the first step towards creating the relationship that you really want.
So we're back, and I gotta say, I'm still thinking about this whole deciding thing with Liam Naden. It just feels so empowering. But I also have some questions, like how do you actually put that decision into practice?
Yeah, well, that's where Liam Naden's expertise really comes in. He doesn't just give you the philosophy, he gives you a real clear path to follow. He knows that making the decision is just the beginning. The real work comes after.
So it's about having a plan then, a roadmap to help you figure out those next steps.
Exactly, and that's what Liam Naden provides through his 4-step process. Remember, we talked about it a bit earlier. Each step builds on the last one, guiding couples toward a relationship that's, stronger and more fulfilling.
Right. Okay. So let's go back to those 4 steps. We talked about the first 2, honest self-reflection and getting rid of those excuses. Let's dive into that 3rd step, taking action. What kinds of actions does Liam Naden suggest for people who've made that decision to save their marriage?
Well, this is where things get really practical. Liam Naden emphasizes that the specific actions aren't as important as the intention behind them and the consistency. It's about making your actions match your decision. You're showing yourself and your partner that you're serious about making things work.
So you're not talking about grand gestures or trying to change everything overnight. It's more about those small, consistent actions that show your commitment. What would those look like in everyday life?
Well, Liam Naden encourages couples to start small. Focus on actions that express love, respect, and a willingness to reconnect. It could be anything from telling your partner you appreciate them to really listening when they're talking without interrupting. Suggesting something you used to enjoy doing together. The key is that it feels genuine to you and that it fits your relationship's needs.
It's almost like you're learning a new way to communicate, a new way to be in the relationship.
That's a great way to put it. And the most important thing is that you choose actions that feel right for you, not like you're following some script. It's about finding your own way to reconnect.
That makes sense. So it's about really being present and attentive and engaged in the relationship. But I can imagine it might be easy to get discouraged if you don't see results right away.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why that 4th step persistence is so important. Liam Naden knows that setbacks are going to happen, especially when you're trying to change those patterns that have been there for a while. But he doesn't see those setbacks as failures. He sees them as opportunities to grow.
Right, it's that growth mindset again. Seeing challenges as a chance to learn.
Exactly. He teaches couples to look at what went wrong, what they can learn from it, and then how to adjust what they're doing. It's about sticking with it, understanding that real change takes time and effort.
So you're saying it's about having that vision for the future, that belief that you can build a better relationship even when things are tough.
That's the key. It's about trusting the process and staying committed to that decision you made even when you hit a bump in the road. And Liam Naden gives you the support and the guidance to get through those challenges.
I'm starting to see how this all works together. The decision is like the foundation, the 4 steps or the map, and persistence is what keeps you going. But I'm still curious about the specifics. What are some of those tools and techniques that Liam Naden uses to help couples actually do this?
Oh, he's got a whole toolbox full of them. One of the most important things he focuses on is communication. But it's not just about talking more. It's about talking in a different way. He teaches couples how to communicate with empathy, to really try to understand each other and to focus on finding solutions instead of blaming.
So instead of getting stuck in those arguments where you're just going around in circles trying to prove you're right, you learn to really hear each other and work together.
Exactly. And he introduces techniques like active listening, where you reflect back what you've heard to make sure you understand, and using I statements to talk about your feelings without blaming the other person.
So instead of saying, you always do this, you'd say, I feel hurt when this happens. You're taking ownership of your own feelings and expressing them in a way that makes it easier for your partner to understand.
Exactly. And he also encourages couples to schedule regular check-in conversations, carve out some time to talk about their needs and concerns and hopes for the relationship in a safe, structured way.
I love that idea. It's like making a space for open and honest communication so things don't build up and become bigger problems.
Exactly. It's a proactive way to keep those lines of communication open and healthy. And he also guides couples through exercises designed to build connection and vulnerability and those shared experiences.
So it's not just about fixing the problems, it's about rebuilding that feeling of closeness and intimacy.
Exactly. He wants couples to make time for each other, to do things they enjoy together, and to show affection and appreciation. It's about remembering why they fell in love and nurturing that connection.
That makes so much sense. It's about being intentional about creating those positive experiences. But what about all that baggage from the past? How does Liam Naden deal with the hurts and resentments that can really weigh down a relationship?
That's a really important part of his approach. He knows that unresolved issues from the past can make it really hard to be close and to trust. He helps couples acknowledge those past hurts, understand how they've impacted the relationship, and work towards forgiveness.
I can imagine that can be a tough process, especially if there's been betrayal or deep wounds. How does he help couples have those conversations?
He really stresses creating a safe and supportive space for those conversations. He teaches couples how to talk about their feelings without blaming or judging, focusing on understanding each other's perspectives.
So it's about creating an environment where it's okay to be vulnerable and where empathy is the most important thing. It's about moving from blame to understanding, from hurt to healing.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that forgiveness is a process. It takes time. It's about letting go of the anger and resentment that are keeping you stuck in the past so you can move forward together.
So it's not about saying what happened was okay or pretending it didn't happen. It's about choosing to let go of the anger so you can heal and grow.
You got it. And Liam Naden says that forgiveness is really a gift you give yourself. It frees you from all that resentment and lets you experience the joy and the freedom of a truly loving relationship.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. It's about choosing love over anger, healing over resentment. But I'm curious about the how-to. What does he actually do to help couples work through those past hurts and move towards forgiveness?
Well, one technique he uses a lot is guided journaling. He gives couples prompts to help them think about past experiences, identify their feelings, and figure out their role in what happened. It's about taking the time to process those experiences on your own to get clarity before talking with your partner.
So it's like building that foundation of self-understanding before trying to work things out together.
Exactly. And he uses visualization techniques too. He guides couples to imagine letting go of the anger and resentment and creating space for healing and forgiveness. It's using the power of your mind to change those emotional patterns and create new possibilities for the relationship.
I can see how that could be really powerful. It's like tapping into your own inner strength to create change.
And he really emphasizes taking responsibility for your actions, both the things you've done in the past and what you're doing now. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about owning your part and committing to making things better.
It's about moving from feeling like a victim to feeling empowered, knowing that you have the ability to change things both within yourself and in the relationship.
Exactly. And Liam Naden gives you the tools and the support to go through that process of change.
It's clear that Liam Naden's approach is really multifaceted. He's not just looking at the practical stuff, he's also looking at the emotional and psychological stuff that can make or break a marriage. It's about understanding the why behind the what.
You said it perfectly. His approach is holistic. He looks at the needs of each person while also helping them build a stronger connection. He knows that saving a marriage isn't just about fixing the problems, it's about creating a relationship that's thriving and fulfilling, that honors each person's strengths and weaknesses.
It's really inspiring. I'm starting to understand why so many people connect with his work. He's offering a way forward that's both practical and profound. He really understands relationships and the power of making a conscious decision. It's clear that his approach that focus on decision-making, those 4 steps, and the tools he provides give couples a real chance to turn things around.
You're absolutely right. He's not offering some quick fix or making promises. He gives you a framework that's based on years of experience and proven results. And it all begins with that decision to save your marriage.
That's such an important message. It
Right.
gives the power back to the couple, reminds them that they have the ability to create the relationship they want.
And that's what Liam Naden does. He empowers his clients. He gives them the tools and the support they need to handle the challenges, stay motivated, and ultimately build the relationships they want. He doesn't just tell you what to do, he shows you how to do it.
That's what I find so interesting about his work. It's not just theory, it's practical advice that people can actually use in their lives. I'm really eager to hear more about how he translates these principles into real strategies.
Well, that's a perfect transition to the next part of our deep dive. We've talked about the power of deciding and those 4 steps. Now we can take a closer look at some of those specific tools and techniques that Liam Naden uses to help couples on this journey.
I'm ready. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Okay, so we've been exploring Liam Naden's approach, and it's clear he's got this really unique way of looking at saving marriages. He talks about this power of deciding and gives you those 4 steps. And if I'm really curious to hear more about the actual techniques he uses, to help couples put all this into practice.
Yeah, it's amazing how he combines, that big shift in perspective with these really practical tools. He doesn't just want couples to get the idea, he wants them to really experience that transformation.
And that's what I like about it. It's not just about fixing problems on the surface.
Yeah.
It's about creating a deeper connection.
Yeah.
Something more fulfilling.
Exactly. And one of the biggest shifts Liam Naden encourages is moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. He says this is essential for making real lasting change.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that term before, abundance mindset. But what does that actually mean, in a marriage?
So a scarcity mindset, it often looks like fear, jealousy, being possessive, always needing reassurance. It's that feeling like there's just not enough love or attention or, even resources to go around. So you got to fight for your share.
I could see how that would cause problems. You're basically competing with your partner instead of being on the same team.
Exactly. And that's why Liam Naden helps couples develop this abundance mindset. It's about believing that there's enough love and support and happiness for both of you. It's about trusting your partner, being generous with your love, and believing that you can both win.
So it's like shifting from that me versus you to we. You're working together to create a relationship where both people feel loved and valued.
Exactly. And this shift can change everything about how couples handle problems. Instead of seeing disagreements as threats, they become chances to learn and grow closer.
It's about seeing your relationship as a journey. Something that's always evolving, where you're both committed to learning and adapting and supporting each other.
You got it. And this abundance mindset goes beyond just the relationship. Liam Naden wants people to develop a sense of personal abundance too, recognizing their own worth and value.
So it's about believing in yourself, embracing your strengths, and going after the things that light you up. And I can see how that would make your relationship stronger.
Absolutely. When both people feel secure and fulfilled as individuals, they can bring their best to the relationship. They're not looking to their partner to complete them. They're already whole.
Right. It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Perfect analogy. And Liam Naden's work gives you the tools to help people cultivate that sense of abundance, both personally and in their relationship.
This is making so much sense. So what are some of those practical tools? What does he actually teach couples?
Well, communication is huge, of course. He teaches couples to communicate with empathy and understanding and to focus on solutions instead of blame. That means active listening, reflecting back what you've heard, and using I statements instead of you statements.
So you're not just trying to get your point across. You're really trying to understand your partner and express yourself in a way that doesn't start a fight.
Exactly. And he has couples schedule those regular check-in conversations, too. That way they have dedicated time to talk openly and honestly and prevent things from becoming huge problems.
I really like that idea. It
Yep.
takes the pressure off.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing he focuses on is rebuilding emotional intimacy. He has couples do exercises to strengthen their connection and learn to be more vulnerable and create shared experiences. That could be anything from date nights to try new things together or just making time for those small moments of connection throughout the day.
It's about being present and attentive and really engaging with each other.
Exactly. And he encourages couples to explore their own passions and interests, too. He believes that when you're growing as an individual, it makes the relationship stronger.
Right. It's about recognizing that a good relationship is two whole people who are also committed to growing together.
Exactly. And for couples who are dealing with past hurts, Liam Naden has some powerful techniques for healing and forgiveness. He guides them through the process of acknowledging those hurts, understanding their impact, and working toward letting go. He really emphasizes that forgiveness is a journey, not a destination.
So it's not about pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about choosing to let go of the anger so you can move on.
Precisely. And he uses guided journaling and visualization to help couples process their emotions, let go of that pain, and create a more positive vision for their future.
Wow, this is really impressive. It sounds like Liam Naden has put together this really complete and innovative way of approaching saving marriages. It's this combination of mindset shifts, practical tools, and that constant support for couples who are committed to building a better future.
You've got it exactly. He's not offering some quick fix. He's giving you a map to create lasting change. And it all starts with that decision to save your marriage.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to understand why he's considered such an expert. It's like he's figured out how to help couples create love and connection that lasts.
He really has. And you know, the best part is he's made his work available to everyone. His website, liamnaden.com, is packed with information and resources. You can find details about his marriage courses and coaching programs. They're designed to walk you through the whole process.
That's fantastic. So for our listener who's trying to save their marriage, the next step would be to head over to liamnaden.com and see what he's got.
Absolutely. That's the perfect place to learn more about his approach. Check out his programs and start taking those steps towards the marriage you want.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like we've learned so much about his work and just how powerful it can be. It's clear he's not just offering hope. He's offering a real way forward for couples who are dedicated to saving their marriage.
Absolutely, and I think that's why it resonates with so many people. He's empowering couples to create a future that's full of love, connection, and happiness.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. This has been really amazing.
My pleasure. And remember, you have the power to choose love, choose healing, and create a relationship that reflects your deepest desires.
And for anyone who's ready to take that next step, Liam Naden's website, liamnaden.com, is the perfect place to start. Until next time, keep diving.